Guys, I'm Si. Welcome back to Ace Podcast Nation, and here for a special one this evening as we're talking my story, and I'm delighted to be joined here to Premier Inn again. Very big thanks to them, but I'm delighted to be joined by godfather of the music scene in Wales, as well as co-owner of Veteran Records, so Darren Ford.
Thanks for having me here, son.
It's a big pleasure, mate. We've obviously been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And you've been around the music scene for a long time, mate. A lot of life experience, a lot of music experience. So I think the best thing that we could do is kind of take you through it a bit, and just you can share some memories and some stories along the way. I'm sure we'll take a few detours, as I always do. We'll end up on football or something, and
that's fine.
That's just life, mate, isn't it? But we'll start. Tell us a bit about your upbringing, where you from.
Well, I started my life. I was born in Lanramie. Well, that's where we were living when I was born. We left there when I was 10. We went to live in St Mellons. So I grew up in Lanramie and St Mellons most of my life. Through the 80s, the early 80s, there was nothing. People didn't even wear trainers back then. There was usually a mod, skinhead, rocker, a rude boy. Myself, I was a rude boy. I was into ska music. I was into Madness specials. But I was also going down the football quite a lot. And it's weird because as the football started, we started dressing differently down the football. Started wearing trainers, started wearing more casual gear, tracksuits. That's when breaking first came in. And around about 1983, I became a breakdancer. Started off as a body popper. I just got engulfed by this new scene from America. And
was it just the dancing, do you think, or was it like everything about it, like the clothes?
It was everything. It was everything that came with it. It was just something that we'd never seen here. It was completely different. We'd never seen that in the UK. So by the time I was like 13, I was like addicted to it. I started breakdancing. Got myself a bit of a name for dancing. Throughout Cardiff. I can remember we used to train with Frankie Johnson, Noah Johnson's dance class up in Eastern Leisure Centre. And straight after dance class, we'd jump on a bus, go into town, have our lino down, have beatbox, and we'd all be break dancing in the middle of town. And then all of a sudden it spiraled, and there was people from all over Cardiff doing it. And we used to travel on buses to go and look for crews on different estates. It was crazy. But yeah, throughout the week, you battle anybody. You go to anybody's estate and battle them. Yeah. But then on a Saturday, we'd all get together in town because we knew, like, outsiders started coming into Cardiff. People not from Cardiff, and they were coming in and they wanted to battle us. So, that's how it started for me anyway. And quite a lot of others. It's where I met Jaffa through breaking. But yeah, at the same time, I was involved with the football scene as well.
Well, like before you got into the breakdancing and that, as a young kid, like what were you like? Was you sort of like football and sport, or was it music, or a bit of that, bit of everything?
It was music, and I used to just love going to the football. Being a young teenager, standing on a terrace, standing on a bob bank, The whole vibe of it. You know, you're in the crowd singing. You know, everybody. The atmosphere was just electric. You know, and being a 12, 13-year-old child standing in the middle of all that, just in awe of it. Like, do you know what I mean?
You feel like part of something as well, isn't it? Like I was saying, I did a Cardiff show this week and talking about the current state of things and whatever. And then, like I said, like I grew up on Ninian Park.
Yeah.
And, like the fans, you know, you get the groans and the moans, and I when things really, you know, someone misplaces the pass or that. But generally speaking, the atmosphere, whether there was 2,000 people there or, you know, it was full, was absolutely hot, like banging. But the fans were always behind the team.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, if there was a few hundred people or, you know.
I can remember when we were right at the bottom, and you know, in the 4th division, and we'd be on our terraces singing. You know.
Yeah. This is my criticism of today. Like everyone, like we've been in a relegation battle very quickly on football. Like we've been in a relegation battle for like the last 2 seasons really, and I think last year we got lucky because Reading had those points deducted, and then so this year you're going in and everyone is saying, "Oh, look, if we can just mid-table or whatever, new manager, that'd be great." But because we made a good start, everyone's expectation changed, and now like we played Leeds the other day, and the atmosphere was awful.
That's the thing.
And it's like one of your biggest rivals, and it's feeding into the players. Like you can see them, they're scared like to make a mistake or to do anything. And I miss the like just that unbridled support the team no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if you're 4-0 down, like you're still having a laugh.
Well, that's it. You know, it's you know, the crowd is the extra player. You know, so if you want your team to do well, you've got to support your team. You can't just moan about it.
Just expect them to like do that. But then it's like if you were doing your job and someone come up to you and there's like going, "Ah, you shit," blah blah blah, moaning at you constantly. Like it's difficult, isn't it?
You're going to end up believing it.
Yeah, and like it would put you off at the very least, wouldn't it? It would get you frustrated or anxious or whatever. Like it's a weird thing. Yeah, you set me off now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss it. I do. I miss it big time. I think.
Same here. It's like
football is like that stadium is modern football.
Yeah, I don't like that stadium, to be honest with you. Ninian Park was a part of my life growing up as a child. I lived and died for Cardiff City, as well as hip hop. You know, so I always had something to focus on, which was either the next game or, you know, learning new moves.
So when did you go from like the breakdancing more into like rapping and writing? Was that later on?
Yeah, it was later on. It was still in the 80s. 1986, I went to UK Fresh 86 up in Wembley, and it was like every hip hop artist you could think of. It was coming out of New York at the time, or not just New York, out of LA as well. They were there performing, you know. And
that must have been mad in itself, though.
It was, because
in the 80s, like it wasn't as common as what it is now.
No, what was mad for me was like I just left school, and my birthday's in August, so I was still 15 years old. I saved my wages up from my job, and I went up on a train by myself. I got met by my aunt. It took me over to her house. My uncle then took me to Wembley, dropped me off. And I walked in, and it was just, I was up on the balcony, sitting upstairs. And I was there by myself. And I was just blown away, you know, 15-year-old kid in the middle of Wembley with thousands and thousands of people there, all there for the same thing, which was hip hop.
So for me, I'm like a bit younger than you, but like not by much. But like, so I look at it like, even when I was like growing up in say the like late 80s, 90s and that wasn't very particular. It was a bit more common maybe in the 90s, but it wasn't that common.
Yeah.
Whereas, so that must have just been like this surreal experience.
It was.
Especially at 15.
It was crazy because we had, I didn't even know, but at the time, when I'm up on the balcony, Jaffa and Daz and a few others from Cardiff, and it was like boys from Cumbrae and that, they were all down on the floor. And what was mad is like where I'm standing on the balcony, you could see these pockets opening up, and they were battling. The breakdancers were battling, and I was itching because I wanted to get down there, but I couldn't. No, I also seen the London All Stars. They were battling on stage. It was crazy. And coming home, when I got back, I was just blown away. I was like, we need something like this in Cardiff.
Inspired by it, like.
Yeah. And at the time, Jaffa was going over to Bristol, learning to DJ and everything. And at that time, I was learning to DJ. So I just couldn't keep up with it. Couldn't keep up with buying records all the time. And, it's you've got to put 100% effort into it, like, because if you want to be a DJ, back then, if you wanted to be a DJ, when it was vinyl, you had to spend. And as a hip hop DJ, it was mainly double copies, so you could split it back. And I didn't have that sort of budget to play with. Yeah. So I started rapping.
What was the reception like to that? Like, because I know you were in the scene, like in the breakdancing scene and stuff. But, I think in the 80s, particularly, like, hip hop was still predominantly like a black thing, isn't it? Like, I know it's probably different when you're in the scene, but certainly to the outside of that scene.
To the outside of it, yeah. But there was in the UK, there was a lot of white people. There were breakdancing.
Yeah.
There was a hell of a lot of white people that was breakdancing. And by the way, I'm mixed race, so that's how I could. No, I have to cut that out because I don't even know why I said that. I started off just writing rhymes. Never done it, I've never really been that type of person that was going to be like, right, I'm making music and I'm pushing it out. I was never like that. It was like, I just want to be able to write bars and just do my bars wherever, like, at a party or whatever.
Rather than performing.
Yeah.
A hobby, I suppose, is it? Like,
it was a hobby. And I can remember my first ever gig was Sam's Bar. It was Sam's Bar, and it was a Monday night, and it was John Lenny and a few others, my cousin, and basically they done an open night mic, and me and my friend Gary, DJ Apollo, we'd started writing rhymes together. So we went down there. We thought, we're going to do it. We're doing our gig. We got there and it was it was crazy. I was nervous, very, very nervous. I can remember holding the mic and the wire was going like that for it. I was shaking.
What age would you have been?
I was 16. At the time as well, I was dabbling with graffiti.
Okay.
And one of my neighbours from when I lived in Anramney, Rudy, he had a donut store on the corner. As you come off Newport Road into town, and you've got Greg's on the left now, where the new centre is. Yeah, on that corner of the centre, like going into Queen Street and going towards Queen Street Station. He had a donut store there, and behind it was a pub, and on the other side was a pub. And every day when I was going to work, I'd stop off and I'd buy a load of donuts off him and walk. And I remember he said to me, you do graffiti, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, the guy in the bar, in the pub next to me, wants to know, can you do some graffiti? So I said, yeah, nobody. I see the size of the wall, it was massive. And I said, yeah, I can do that. Not thinking. So I've gone on and I've had a word with all the boys, because we used to run with a crew, with, TCS, the Criminal Saints. So I've had a word with them all, and they were all like, no, we're not doing it. So it's landed me now, so I've got to do this by myself. I remember that on the Sunday I went down there. We bought this crappy paint from Halfords around the corner. It was like painted with milk, coloured milk. And I started putting an outline up, and I'm thinking, what am I going to put on here? And the St. Mellons bus come into town. And I looked, and there was all the boys hanging out the window. So they came down. We'd done this wall. We'd done the wall on Queen Street as well, because it was the two pubs. And then Rudy wanted his donut stall. He wanted his donut stall done. So the boys done that for me and done that as well. And then he said to me, "Oh, do you reckon you could set up a sound system?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." Not thinking again. But yeah, they went and had a word with Jaffa. The boys had a word with Jaffa. He brought his decks down. But that event I set up, but I wasn't there in person because I got rushed into hospital like 2 days before with a quinsy attack. And my throat closed up and I'd stopped breathing for a while.
So for people who don't know, what's quinsy?
Quinsy was it's inflammation of the tonsils.
Okay.
I think it's the tonsils, but that's what it was with me anyway. But literally, my throat just swelled right up like a balloon. And
what causes that?
I'm not too sure.
An infection.
Yeah, it's mainly with people that suffer with like tonsillitis. You know, I used to have tonsillitis every single week when I was a child. I've got no tonsils now, so a lot better.
They used to take the tonsils out.
Yeah. But yeah, I got rushed into hospital.
So you set it up?
I set it up. I wasn't there.
That was the start, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like events and that side of things.
Yeah, but
did it go off without a hitch, I suppose, is the...
apparently I wasn't there, but what I did here, but it went down really well. That's when DK turned up. You know, when another pioneer MC in Cardiff, in Wales. And I'm not too sure, I think Eric was there, I'm not too sure. But after my quinsy attack, I'd stopped working in the silkscreen printers I was working in because of the chemicals. Because the doctors were saying it could have been the chemicals I was working with. So I'd stopped working there and I started going to Grassroots. Now, for anybody that knows Grassroots, know that a lot of hip hop came through there in its early days in Wales. There was no studio there when we were going there. And basically the basement was just these two waterlogged rehearsal spaces. They had like a drum kit in there. The floor was like, you'd walk in there, you'd have to wear wellies. You know, they had amps there with guitars and, you know, the floor's like in a puddle, like it's really scary.
Like toilets in town.
Yeah, just like that. But, you know, we started going down there and I had a word with, it was Mark Bick at the time. And I said, "Oh, you know, would we be able to put something on in here?" And the layout of Grassroots back in the 80s was brilliant because it was like a little cafe downstairs with a stage down the bottom. So we put Jaffa up on the stage, we had some mics out. And they literally opened it up on a Saturday afternoon for us. Like anybody that knows about Grassroots, they don't open on a Saturday. Yeah. So they gave it to us for, you know, on Saturdays. And I can remember we were making little flyers, photocopy them in the office, and then running around Queen Street and handing them up on Queen Street. And people, you know, it got packed. Literally got packed. We run a couple of them, and that's where Hard Rock Concept was formed from there. You know, Jaffa, Eric, DK, then you had the graffiti writers, Final Outline, Coma One. I came in a lot later. I joined HRC not a lot later, like a couple of a month or two after they'd set up. I become very, you know, really good close friends with Eric and DK. Jaffa, we've known each other for years, and the graffiti writers I grew up with anyway. So it felt right for me to be part of that crew.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that's how it started. That's how the main rap thing started in Cardiff.
So it's interesting to me because I've always kind of like to look at the history of stuff. And it's interesting to me, like, because, you know, you wouldn't necessarily think, certainly from the outside, that Wales is particularly like a hip hop kind of place, isn't it? Like, just, you know, it's in the middle of nowhere, like in terms of mountains everywhere in Edinburgh Valley, whatever. But even like, you know, look at it now, like it's full of talent, like really, really top tier talent as well.
What's crazy is like what you just said there, like, through my breaking, because I only retired from breaking, what 10 years ago, 2014, 2015. I stopped breaking after my sister passed away. And I've been in countries that you wouldn't even think hip hop existed, but it's mad because I can get off any country, any city, and I'll know there's hip hop there. Yeah. It's like I can smell it.
Just find the places.
Yeah. You know, the first thing you see, as soon as you see graffiti, you know there's a graffiti scene. And then you just have a scope around, have a look around, go and have a look at all the graffiti pieces, and you guarantee you're going to get approached by someone, especially if you're taking photos. But that's one of the main things that attracts me to hip hop is like you see graffiti, you know there's a scene there.
Yeah. When I was, so obviously I've had Rob on, your partner, and I've had T-Rev on a couple of times as well. And like, you know, they all speak, like, particularly like T-Rev spoke super highly of you and that. And like, but he also said, like, you know, in some ways, like all the guys which you see now, which are killing it, doing really well, they might not have the opportunities that they get now if it weren't for people like yourself. Who inspired you?
We didn't know.
Or who set the way for you?
We had nobody in Cardiff to set the way for us. We just had to do it by ourselves. You know, what you got to understand is when we started making rap and when we started our scene in Cardiff, you couldn't even buy hip hop records in Cardiff. You didn't have it on the radio.
No, absolutely not.
We used to have to travel to London with boom boxes and like loads of cassettes and tape it. You know, loads of batteries, loads of cassettes and a boom box, and just tape pirate radio stations. And we'd all come back and swap tapes with each other. So that's how they spread. Yeah.
It was to get.
Still
spread.
These days now, you just go click and boom, you download. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. But that was the fun of it as well. The fact that you had something fresh that nobody else had.
Another example of why the internet spoiled it for kids today. So
yeah.
You're going to set me up on another tangent. One of my big gripes is that, like my kids now, like 18, 16, 14, whatever, like I feel like they've missed out on some of the stuff, like the fun stuff that we used to go into. You know, I'm glad they don't do a lot of the stuff which I used to do when I was younger, but also, in the other hand, I feel like they miss out on a lot of stuff. Like we used to just like have parties in fields and do our own thing and all these little different things which you just will not get away with now. Or not even get away with, like
you got to pay to get into those parties in fields now. Like,
but even like, I think I was talking to someone the other day about, like, I think the internet has kind of killed like people's skills. Like, you know, for instance, like my lovely wife was sat there, like we've been together 20 plus years. I met her in a pub where I went to my local and she was working there or whatever. But like, I feel like the internet is killing that, and I feel like young people and kids are missing out on that. Yeah. But also, you know, of course there's positives to the internet, and like you mentioned there, like these days you literally find any track you want.
Yeah,
there's a couple of tracks which I still can't locate from when I was younger. But.
Yeah, like the thing is with the internet, there's things that I find has helped, but I also, like you said, you know, it's made it a lot easier. But then there again, it's at a stage now where people are they're misconstruing what hip hop is.
It's changed a lot, hasn't it, in recent years?
Yeah. It's people think that because they can rap, they're hip hop. That's not the case. It's not the case.
So what's the difference then?
Well, the thing is, hip hop is not rap. Rap is just a part of hip hop. Hip hop is a culture. It's a culture of breaking, DJing, graffiti, MCing. You know, and the fifth element is knowledge, the knowledge of it. So an MC, doesn't matter what genre or subgenre anybody want to call what they do. Like I do house MCing, I do garage MCing, I do drum and bass MCing. Doesn't matter. It still falls under MCing. So therefore, it's still a part of the hip hop culture. So this is where I'm saying that people get it twisted, and they think, oh, they see rap and oh, he's a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
When people says I spit hip hop bars, no, you don't spit hip hop bars. You rap. You rap. There's no such thing as hip hop bars because
they all sort of spin off that culture, I guess.
Yeah, hip hop is a term of the culture. It's not a term of a genre of music. Yeah. It's not a genre like they're trying to label as a genre of dance. I do hip hop dance. No, you don't. It's hip hop is a culture. It's not a style of anything.
Yeah. Just sort of spinning back to, like, you know, you had to go and get the music. You were learning to DJ. You were starting to write and perform, and you put on like a couple of little events and stuff. Like, was there any gigs in those early days which when you started performing in front of people, which were, you know, didn't go to plan? So it's like difficult because you said like, and I'm assuming, you know, every, like, particularly when you're young and you're starting out.
Okay, right. There was one event. I really hate speaking about this because it just went wrong. Yeah, it was my first gig with HRC, Hard Rock Concept. Jaffa remember this because they all hate me for it. Backstage, there was crates and crates and crates and crates of lager. And they told us to help ourselves. Now, me and Eric were there. Two people you should never say that to. We were cracking them open and racing them down. So by the time I got on stage, I was like a beastie boy. I was screaming, swearing, effing this, yeah, and basically cancelled myself there. Yeah. So I mean, nobody wanted to ever hear me again on stage. But yeah,
first impressions of those people who've seen that, see for the first time there.
It was in Ritzy. Ritzy, you know, if anybody know about Ritzy, a story, a vision, yeah, on the main stage. And I came out there like a right prick. Yeah. I could not make myself look
good. Repaired you, like, what people thought you from that anyway, like going after it, but it's like a bad mix, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Before you, I suppose it's like you've got to put in there, if you're someone who gets nervous before performing, and someone says to you, there's a cricket for you.
This is the thing, it wasn't even about nerves. We were just stupid at the time, we were just throwing them down. But yeah.
When you drink fast as well, like it hits you all of a sudden, like you feel like you're not that bad, and then you stand up or whatever, and it's like...
Yeah. No, the thing is, I don't drink no more, but, you know, back then I did. I was a teenager. Yeah. But yeah, I do drink, but only on occasions.
Same as me, yeah.
But yeah, I ruined that night. I ruined that night and ruined the name of the crew.
What was the reaction like in the aftermath to that then?
I got slated by everybody for it. But yeah, it was
part of the learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. And then not long after, Eric went to London, and then Jaffa went to London after him. But at that time, like, you know, me and DK were still in Cardiff. And around about 87, 88, no, about 88, 89, these people come down from London, Ice Cream Promotions, and they started putting nights on in Silhouette at first. And they, you know, it blew the scene up. You know, people were just coming from everywhere, and you know, they used to take the club over. It was really, you know, it was a big scene at that time.
Yeah.
at the same time, Ice Cream Promotions, they started managing me, and like they were getting me gigs down in Plymouth, Exeter, Bournemouth. So at that time, you know, that's when I first met Blade. I first met Blade in it was an Ice Cream Promotions event in Cardiff. It was called the Stone Jam, and basically what they'd done was they brought loads down from London, like loads of coaches. And then like Cardiff were in there as well, and you just both connected, and everybody's just, you know, started mixing with each other. And Eric introduced me to Blade. Now, little did they know that Eric is originally from Cardiff. So Blade was saying, I'm going to bring another brother out from South London. South London started screaming it. And Eric walked out and said, yo, Blade, I'm from Cardiff. Yeah. And the crowd went nuts. But yeah, that event there was a lot of history in that event, because like it was the same night the MC Duke and Overlord X shook hands on stage and squashed their beef. Westwood rolled up with a London posse. No, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It sounds like just a very fun time.
Yeah. This was like 1989. 89. And then, you know, like I said, we were traveling around with Ice Cream Promotions.
And I guess, like you mentioned, you've been able to travel all over the place.
Yeah.
Through, you know, doing music and different things. Like, is that when the traveling first started then with Ice Cream Promotions? And you know, I know you said like
with the rap, yeah. With rap, yeah. I only done I've done a few, not loads, but I did do a few. Yeah, it roughly started around about then. And then around about 91, that's when I was travelling back and forth, like going up and spending time in London with Eric. It was like just after his Technotronic, when he went, just after, you know, they split up. And I was going up and doing a lot of, like, spending a lot of time with him. And in all fairness, it was through Eric that I started seeing how the music scene worked. Like, you know, he gave me a lot of insight into the background of it all. Because, you know, even to this day, I'm still a fan of rap. You know, I'm still a fan of, you know, certain rappers. But when you're a fan, you don't see the back scenes of it, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I got to give a lot of respect to Eric for that, because he showed me a lot of what goes on in the background.
Yeah, I guess that would help you as the years go on then in the future.
Yeah,
just
it did.
Expand what you were doing.
It did. It helped me out a lot. Because like end of 91, I came back and I was given my first flat in Crumlin Drive in St Helens. My sister lived across the road, Berta. And at that time, I tried to do the same thing as what I'd done with Grassroots. So I did. I went to the community centre and I said, "Oh, can I put a jam on you?" So she was like, "Yeah, no worries." I spoke to Jill Price. She was running at the community centre at the time. And I said to Jaffa was like, yeah, let's do it. And at that time, Jaffa and my sister were together. And we went over there, we set up. And we were selling tickets for like 50 pence for people to get in there, just to make some money for the community centre. And when we turned up to start loading up, the queue had gone from, you know, the West St Community Centre used to be, on the back of Tesco's. It went from there right to the doors of Tesco's. That's how far the queue went. And it was huge. And we filled the place out. It was unbelievable. We literally filled the place out. And I can remember my sister saying to me, let's do another one. She said, but I'll help you on this one. I said, okay. next week, you know, that was the birth of the Underdogs. Because the first event, when I put it on, I headed the flyer, the Underdogs present, raw bakes. That's what it was called, raw bakes. And the reason why I called it the Underdogs was because at the time St. Helens was getting a lot of flack. You know, John Redwood was like slagging up St. Helens, saying it was single mothers. It was full of single mothers, and everybody was like living in poverty, and you know, it was a rough area. Yeah, it was a rough area and all that. So I was like, well, no, you know, we're underdogs. You got to stop talking to us like that. About us like that, like, you know. So we put that event on, and then we stuck the second one on, and it's like equally, if not more, you know, successful. And me just wanting to be an artist, I didn't want to get it behind the politics and get behind all that. You know, I didn't want to run. I just wanted to be an artist within the Underdogs. That's all I wanted to do. My sister just took it and she went with it and took it to extremes. This was like 1992. She took it to so many extremes. But, you know, Cardiff had never seen anything like it. You know, we won British Gas arts within a community project. The best community project throughout the whole of the UK by British Gas. You know, my sister was rubbing shoulders with like the Lord Mayor, and you know, she was running Alan Michael. She was rubbing shoulders, and me, it was like I was just an artist. I didn't,
She was putting all that.
You know, we got funded. We got funded by the lottery. We were taking kids to like Germany. I took a group to Ghana. You know, so it was a positive community project that we, like, you know, I founded it, but my sister just ran with it. And you know,
did you get pushback from like local council and stuff, people who didn't want the event to be on? The community kind of behind it.
The community got behind it. It was mad because it just went beyond what I expected. Like, you know, I just wanted it to be a little community centre jam.
Just like a little event.
Yeah, and then next week, you know, we're getting funded by the lottery. You know, we were on the lottery.
Winning awards.
Yeah, winning awards, traveling around Europe, and you know, I even took a team to Africa. It was mad, you know, and all that goes to my sister. Like, she's sadly not with us no more, but you know,
it sounds like she had a big influence on everything which you went on to do.
You know, I'm
from the Underdogs onwards, but
yeah, I feel a little bit emotional here, but my sister done so much for the community. That I'm just proud to say that she was my sister. So with the Underdogs, what was crazy is it started off as a little dream of, you know, just having a little community jam, you know, a little party every couple of weeks, 2 weeks or whatever. It ends up to my sister opening up her 3-bedroom house and bringing kids in from the whole of St. Helens. You know, Jaffa had the decks there. I was like, you know, helping them with their writing rhymes. Jaffa was teaching them how to DJ. My sister was teaching mainly the girls how to dance. And it just grew and grew and grew and grew. Before you knew, she literally had about 500 kids went through her house and took them off the streets and gave them something to do, give them something positive to focus on.
That's what it's about as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like getting them off the streets, just hanging around, because that's where you end up getting into trouble and doing things you shouldn't be doing, and that, and it's giving them that positive focus and that outlet for their energy. And then, like, you think, like you said, about 500 people came through your sister's house. Like, how many of those people were better off for it? You know what I mean? Like, made a massive difference to people. How many of those people went on and, you know, after you taught them how to write rhymes and stuff, went on and did stuff, you know?
The thing is, what you've got to understand, like I said at the beginning, the reason why this was set up was because of all the bad press St. Helens was getting in the first place. You know, they were saying it was, you know, that the crime rate was high, single mothers, you know, everybody was being picked on. You know, of course, there's single parents in, you know, in council housing, but it doesn't make them bad people.
No,
doesn't. You know, I know a lot of single mothers and single parents, single fathers. They're doing amazing jobs. You know, but yeah, the reason why we built it was because we were getting a lot of flack and a lot of bad press about St. Helens, saying it was at one stage he was trying to say it was a no-go zone and all that. But yeah, that's where the idea came from.
just grew from there.
And as you said, there's a lot of people that came from the Underdogs that have done really good things with themselves, with their lives, you know, because I'm not saying it's because we gave them a positive mindset, but obviously, you know, we instilled something in them.
Yeah, even if it was for a short period, like over a year, a summer, or whatever, it doesn't matter, does it? Like, if you're keeping them kids or giving them a positive outlet, then it's only going to lead to better things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if they have already started on a kind of life of hanging around the streets and, you know, causing trouble and whatever, drink, drugs, you know, all the things which teenagers get involved in, it's like, if you keep them out of that for a little bit longer, then they're more likely to take away and do more positive things. But the outcome is more positive, more likely to be positive, isn't it? Regardless of whether it's a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a year, like giving them something to do and focus on.
Yeah.
It's massive. Massive. Like, one of the things that we've tried to do with our kids is keep them busy.
Yeah.
Make sure they're doing something all the way through their childhood and their teens. Keep them from just hanging around the streets.
Yeah.
Because that's when they get into mischief.
Yeah, that's it. You know, when they say, "Oh, that kid's a little bastard" or something like that, it's like, no, he's bored. That's what it is. But he's bored, or she's bored. Mm-hmm. They're not bad people. They're bored children with nothing to do.
And you think of around Cardiff now, they've taken away so many of the youth centres and all the different things they used to be able to go to.
There's definitely an agenda there. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, they've shut down all the youth clubs. They've
reduced all the funding, and the police reduced all the funding of the council. Like, everything's gone.
And they're wondering why there's a crime rate.
Yeah.
So with the Underdogs, then. Like I said, we've taken kids around Europe. You know, I've taken a group to Africa. We performed at the big weekend. We hosted a crew from Colombia. They came over, godfather Rapper. They were doing a European tour at the time, and they stayed with us for like 2 weeks in Cardiff. That was
incredible. What came of that idea.
That's what I mean. It's like how that came about was the fact that, once again, my sister, you know, she was rubbing shoulders with certain people. She got in with Community Music Wales, and Steve Garrett, who was working with Community Music Wales at the time, he showed a lot of interest in the Underdogs, and, you know, he got us in with, you know, he made us the host group for godfather Rapper. Got us put on events in Berlin, Stuttgart, Spain, France.
Did you ever, like, when you were in those places, like, think this is mad? Like,
it was bonkers. It was bonkers. It was like, from walking through St. Helens on a cold winter night with my cousin Nathan and two boys, Ricky and Dean, walking past the community centre and saying, I want to do something here. From that night to where the Underdogs went, mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And like I said, it's my sister I got to thank for that.
Yeah. So, What was when you look back at that time with like the Underdogs and going around all these places and how it kind of kicked off? What's your best and worst moment within that sort of era? I know it's a bit of a broad question, but
I got it was just like a one big family with the Underdogs. Like we travelled to like the dance competitions throughout Wales, where like it was mad, where they were all doing like the disco dancing, flash dance, and all that, and we were turning up, and they were going in and they were dancing to hip hop. They were, they were bringing that raw streetness to these competitions, and the judges were blown away. Like, what's this like? No longer we're our group. We're not ready to stick leotards on and like go out and do flash dance and all that. So that was the high for me, is traveling around with my little family. I say little, it grew massive because we ventured out to St. Helens. We set up dance classes in Monachley Institute. We were going up the valleys. We were like going to like Aberdeen, Mountain Ash and all that. And we were doing workshops there. We were doing workshops in other youth clubs.
Kids off the street in other areas.
Really that's it. We literally reached out and started like doing workshops in other areas, like you said, and hopefully, we reduce the crime rate. I say hopefully because I don't really know. I don't, like I said, I don't work on statistics and things like that. So,
but I think what you can do is you can base it on like your life experience, your experience of doing it, and seeing. You're going to Aberdeen or you're going to Monachley or whatever, and there's people turning up and going, there's kids going and coming to the workshops and coming to the events. You get them off the street, and you're stopping them from, even if it's for that hour or whatever it is, like you're giving them something to do and something to have that outlet.
Yeah, is it? That's
take credit for it.
I try not to take credit for it. Like I said, I give all full credit to my sister for it. It was just my dream. That's all it was. It was just a dream that I came up with. My sister ran with it, and she took it to extremes that I could never have thought of. But yeah, the Underdogs, that was wild. There's a lot of them out there, and
You like some of those kids who came like come through the house or like the areas you visited and stuff. Do you still keep in touch with many of them?
There's quite a lot that I'm still in contact with.
They still doing music?
Well, I'll give you a little brief introduction to some of the people that have come out of the Underdogs. Number one, Johnny B. Johnny B and Caltech, they went on to become something really big. Like Johnny B was he was my first MC that I took on. And he was one of the first Underdogs. Johnny now is also in a group called Zenith with Clive and Dregs. Clive was an Underdog. Dregs was involved. He used to come up and get involved. So yeah, he was also part of the Underdogs. Other people have gone on. There's dancers. People have just gone on with their lives in a different field away from hip hop, but have maintained that positive mindset. I get told by them quite often, what me and my sister done helped them out.
I can imagine it. I can imagine just knowing what I was like, 15, 16, whatever, and the kind of path which I was going on. It's like, I can imagine how many people are grateful to you and to your sister, just steering them away from certain things and giving them a different outlook on life, and maybe realising that just because you're from an area X doesn't mean that you have to just do the kind of stereotypical things which all the people from the outside think that you are.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's I always get frustrated with like stereotypes of like areas and stuff like that. Because we still have it today. Like with Ely today now, like people will say certain things about Ely just because of the and loads of people from there gone on to be successful in their own, their fields and their own houses and the rest of it, and they don't matter where you're from.
It's
about your mindset.
Yeah,
about the person you are.
Like the old saying, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at.
Yeah.
But the Underdogs sort of like it sort of fizzled out like in the noughties. But at the same time, then I lost my first sister in 2002. So me and my sister then, she set up a dance competition which she hosted in Treco Bay every year. My niece, they were actually working for IDO, which is International Dance Organization, and they used to put on a weekend in Treco Bay, and all the dance schools from around Wales had come down. And basically, I'd host it, but it was to find the Welsh team to take to the World Finals in somewhere in Germany, Brenham, in Germany. So it went from the Underdogs into that. So that's how the Underdogs fizzled out, because we were having the Underdogs getting involved, but then we thought, well, it doesn't look very, it looks pretty biased, because some of our dancers were getting through. So my sister then concentrated solely on the dance competition, and of course the actual project itself, the Underdogs, it fizzled out. But I've skipped a massive piece here. But before that, around about 93, me and two other members of the Underdogs, which was Nate on the Watcher and Sparky, we teamed up with DK from Hard Rock Concept, and we joined forces with a guy called Greg Haver. Well, we were working for Greg, he was the producer, and we worked on like an album called Under the Gun. We were called Under the Gun, and it was a heavy metal band with 4 rappers.
That's ahead of its time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about what
I just thought I'd come to that now. We were contracted to write these tracks for a Hollywood movie called The Brick Pack, because at the time it was like a year before the Los Angeles World Cup. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the film was about British football hooligans out in LA, and it was written by a guy from Cardiff, Kevin Uller. Don't know what happened, but I think the film got pulled. The movie got pulled, but EMI gave us a publishing deal, but they wouldn't give us a record deal because they didn't know how to market it. They were like, how do we market this? Do we market it as rock music, rap music? We don't know how to market it. A year later, Red Hot Chili Peppers dropped, Cypress Hill dropped. All these. I'm not saying they took our idea, but what I am saying is that
you had the idea.
We were doing that in like 93, and then we were told that they didn't know how to market us. I'm not saying anybody have stolen that style or anything took our ideas at all, because it was going to happen, but not just that.
It is a natural mix.
Yeah, well, Run DMC done it with Aerosmith before us, but Under the Gun was something different. It was how can I say? If I didn't learn what I learned from Eric, I would have been so confused when we started doing the Under the Gun stuff. Because it was pretty big. It was a good thing, like.
So what happened with that then? Like, with Under the Gun just kind of went after the...
We got told the movie had been pulled, and that was it. It was done. There was no more to do with it, which was quite sad, really, because we did have some really good classic tracks on there, but unfortunately, it didn't get out.
Unfortunately, it happens there with films and that. There's been...
We've done videos from as well and everything.
Happens then with films, like obviously there was Soul Crew film that probably was coming out at one point.
Yeah, I know.
There's a few films been knocking about.
Yeah.
With like links to Wales and Cardiff, which didn't quite materialise or whatever.
After Under the Gun, then me, Sparky, and Nathan, we were always partnered, the three of us. We were a team. Whenever one of us done, the other two done with us. We set up another band then with Jaffa called the Shonnies. God knows why we called that name. It was just, but that's when we ended up going over to Berlin, and that was crazy. That was the most craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life. Performing in the nights and being treated like we were famous, and it was a bit weird. It was like I couldn't get my head around it.
I was going to say, is it weird just going to another country and doing a gig which is full of that?
Well, what's mad is being in another country and you're on stage and somebody's in the front saying your bars with you.
Yeah.
And of course,
this is pre-internet. It's not really.
Yeah. This is well before the internet. And you got somebody saying your bars, and of course he doesn't really speak English that much, so he's messing your bars up. He's putting you off. You just want to go, shh. Stop it, please. Stop it, because you're putting me off. But that's when we started traveling, and we went over to Berlin. We'd done Berlin twice. We went over there, and when we got back, I must have been back about an hour in my house, and my mum's phone went, and I said, we want you to come back out in 10 days' time. I was like, I just got home, like. So I phoned up the boys and they were like, yeah, we'll go back out. And that was just crazy, because we performed in the Acoot Club, the Boogaloo. It's crazy. Berlin was mad. Like I said, you got off the train, the bus, the airplane, whatever. As soon as you get off, hip hop is there. The hip hop scene in Germany is massive. And it's different because in the UK, people got that gangster image about hip hop. I don't know why they think to be a hip hop artist, you've got to be gangster. Hip hop number one was created to clean up a community, which was the Bronx, install positivity and get rid of the negativity. It started off like a social experiment, hip hop, to turn a community from negative to positive, which it did. And as soon as it got to Britain, it was brilliant. I remember in the 80s, in the 90s, it was all, hip hop was like about bringing the positive out of every negative. But then all of a sudden something happened and everybody thought you had to be gangster to be into hip hop.
Yeah, I think that's even today.
Yeah.
That's the opinion. That's almost like the stereotype of it, I guess. Isn't it?
So when we got to Germany, when we got to Berlin, I got that feeling back from the old hip hop. It was like I was in like a scene from Beat Street or something. You know, it just took me back to the original element of what hip hop was about.
Yeah.
And when I came back over here, and people were talking about hip hop in such a negative way, it just confused me, because like it was like I'd had a boost injected into me about, like, remember what hip hop's about. And I've come back here and I'm like, whoa, everyone's got their mind scrambled. You don't know what's going on, like, do you know what I mean? But it's only in the UK I feel that it went like that. But no,
in America in certain parts.
Yeah, but no, you got like drill music and trap music, and that's just throwing negativity out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock any drill artist. I'm not going to knock any artist. They do their thing, and there's a lot of them are really, really good.
Yeah. A lot of talent.
Yeah.
But I could see, like what you're saying, like, and I think it's interesting in it, because the view of hip hop and rap and stuff from the outside is generally probably formed by what they see on the news and the media and stuff like that. And that's always given since Jesus, since I was young, like they always put negative on TV and the news and stuff. But I think it's sort of, with the internet, it's just gotten that extra bit further now. And
it has.
Unfortunately, because like you say, it's not really what hip hop was born from, and what it's about.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like you look back to like Melly Mel with a message, and then you look at like Dougie Fresh a few years later. And if you follow it through, it's all partying, a lot of it was like educational. Even in the 90s, there was a lot of educational rap. By the time we got to the end of the 90s, then it just sort of like went into like this dark phase, but yeah, there's a lot of new positive rappers coming out now, and which is brilliant to see. Like Coast Contra.
Amazing, isn't
they are absolutely mind blowing, and it is like, that's what I'm on about. It's like when I watch them, I get that same feeling I had when I was in Berlin that time.
And do you know what then as well, like what it is? One is the flow of them, that Jamal is insane. But I like is his storyteller.
Yeah.
So like he's not just rhyming words or whatever, and he's telling the story like all the way through, and I think.
But this is
their natural chemistry.
This is the thing. What they do is that's real hip hop. These are young boys that have studied the art. They've studied the culture. They know it inside out. They've just had the best training ever. Raskas is the twins' dad. Do you know what I mean? And there's no one that can say that he didn't teach them about hip hop, because they know too much about what real hip hop is. So I feel that maybe we let the youngsters down. We should have, I know what I done with the Underdogs was, but I think a lot more people should have been doing that from my generation, handing that baton down.
Yeah, kind of teaching them what it's about, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
And whatnot. What do you like? Or which Welsh artists do you like at the moment?
Trev, T-Rev is he's a very good artist, and we're going to be working together soon. We have been in talks.
I got so much time for him anyway. But as a person, I got so much time for him. But
I haven't got much time for his football team though. No. I'm not about that. Nice one, Trev. Boyle. I love Boyle.
Yeah.
There's Joe Barker. Like, I'm trying to not say like, you know, anybody from my outfit, like, you know, me or Joe, you know, Joe Dirt, who else is there? Dick Dastardly. He's smashing it right now. His level's gone right up in my eyes. You know, we talk, and I've just done a track with him. You know, Blue City are doing it as well.
Yeah.
You know, I take my hat off to them.
Joe, I want to put this question to you. I put it to a few people before, actually, like from the music scene in Wales. Do you think, I put it another way, I think there's quite a few artists within Wales from all different areas, like Newport or whatever, like Swansea, I suppose, Cardiff, and around, like, but I think if they came from, or if they lived in Birmingham, London, Manchester, they would have gone like off the charts, famous, like the rest of them. But because they're from Wales, they almost don't do a great job of promoting ourselves.
Yeah, that's the problem. I find that Wales has a very, very bad habit when it comes to the crabs in a bucket effect. Yeah, when somebody's shining, everybody just wants to pull them down. I'm not too sure if it's because everybody wants to be the first one to break out of Wales. But
so much talent.
That attitude has held us back for so many years. But yeah, you know, Scammer, you know, even them boys up in North Wales, you know, Mr. Formula, you know, there's people all over Wales now that are blowing up. And you know, even if they're not blowing up, there's a lot of people out there with so much talent now that, you know, it's starting to come together. The Welsh scene is starting to come together. I can remember, like, only 2 years ago, I started, after all these years, 2 years, no, just coming up 3 years now, I started taking my music serious. I've only just started releasing my music. I've been recording for years, but I only just started like releasing my music. But since I started releasing my music, I started to get to learn about other artists in Wales that are doing the same thing, and I was blown away by most of what I was hearing. Like Mace the Great, that boy is. I remember when he was a youngster, and you know, I played in Focus Wales with him last year. And I take my hat off to him. He's done really, really well. You know, you got over in Newport, you got like Fernquest. You got local, you know, locals of St. Mellon's boy. Yeah. You know, the fact that all these people are doing something is really, really exciting to see. You know, to know traumatic. You know, you got. You got Stabs as well. You know, he's doing well.
Do you know what? I had a conversation with Callan from Central Park.
Yeah.
Probably about a year ago now. And we were saying exactly the same thing, but we were on about like podcasts, like because we were talking and we were looking at like podcasts over in wherever in England somewhere, and they were all fucking arguing and fighting, and we were just like. Let's help each other out and then rest and try and work together to do some stuff, whatever it may be, like because neither him nor me got any interest in like negativity and all that sort of thing. But like he's blown up quicker that I'm genuinely happy for him, like, you know, because
well, the thing is, right, with Cullen, me and Cullen, I'm quite close with him. You know, we're speaking, we're good friends. We both have come from that same background where, you know, in amongst all my career, I slipped into addiction. That's why one of the reasons that I fell off for a long time. And to see where he is now, I'm proud of him. Yeah, I'm so proud of him. And he said the same thing to me, you know, the fact that he's proud to see me doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Like we'll get into that in a minute, you know, because like I want to get onto the subject of addiction, because it ruined my life. It totally ruined my life. You know, I lost a lot of people, a lot of friends. I made a lot of enemies. But I think that was the boot up the ass that I needed to pull my finger off my ass, to be honest with you, because my life, I destroyed my own life, my reputation and everything. You know, I literally ruined myself.
You don't catch it here straight away, like you don't, when you're in that destructive pattern, you don't catch it.
No, it's
afterwards, isn't it? When you're picking up the pieces and you look back with hindsight and you see the damage you did, the things you did, the things you said, whatever it may be, things you've done.
Yeah, well, the thing is, what happened with me was, I'd lost my sister, Berta, in 2014, and that's when I just knocked dancing on the head, and, you know, because up until then, I was hip hop focused, constantly hip hop focused. I was traveling, you know, over Switzerland, Holland. I was going to, you know, breakdance competitions every single week up and down the UK. I was training like 3-4 times a week.
Motivated.
Yeah, very, very motivated. And then when I lost my sister, I sort of went downhill. And I was living in Oak House hostel on Newport Road. And they basically forced me out of there and made me find somewhere to live. And I ended up living on Ferry Road. And I started slipping into drugs then. That's when it first started. Like I used to like have a dabble, like, you know, before that, but this is where I slipped badly.
Yeah.
And I had to get away from there. I said, right, that's enough. And I went to live with my dad down on the south coast of England.
Okay.
And
just to get away from it all.
Yeah.
Get yourself completely out of it.
Yeah.
Away from people you can contact.
Yeah. And basically, I'd lost my sister in 2014. And in 2015, then I started going downhill. By the summer of 2015, I said, I can't do this, I've got to get out here. And I moved away with my dad.
Was there like a particular point where you were like, enough's enough, I've got to get out here?
Yeah, it was.
Was there something which happened or some particular thing, or was it just a general, like, this is too much for my head?
Yeah, I was still grieving for my sister.
Of course.
Obviously, she hadn't been gone a year. And I found that smoking crack was the only way I could mask my pain. And then by the summer, I realised what I was doing, and I was like, I've got to get away from here. And I went to live down with my dad. I went to college and became a barber. So I'm a qualified level 2 barber. And I came back to Cardiff. But while I was away, my mother was taken into hospital. When she was taken into hospital, she was diagnosed with dementia. So by the time I'd moved back, my mother's bungalow had been sold. My mother's in a care home. And I had nowhere to live. So I stayed with my cousins, stayed here and there. I ended up then getting into the Salvation Army down Bhutan. When I moved in there, I slipped back into addiction because it's so easy. It was just so easy to get. I slipped back into addiction.
I guess as well with that is when you slip back into it, like, you still grieving your sister,
Yeah.
but also you found out your mum's
My mum's diagnosed with dementia.
Yeah.
And I just slipped so deep into it that I didn't recognise myself. Two of my friends then said, right, you're coming away with us to work. And I started working with them on the asbestos. I started sorting my head out. But then all of a sudden then, the boys I was working with, they weren't smoking it, but they were sniffing it, so I ended up sniffing. So it didn't really help. It didn't really help. I was just getting so deep into addiction. And like, at the same time, my mother's in a home, and I'm losing her to dementia. And I just couldn't face reality. I couldn't accept it. It took me a very, very long time to accept it. And I came back to Cardiff, and I stayed with my daughter up in Ely. Well, while I was there, the council offered me a flat in Ely. And I accepted it, which was the worst mistake I ever made in my life. Because about 6 months after I'd moved in there, my daughter moves out, and she's moved back to Pentwyn. She moved just around the corner from here, and I was up in Ely then by myself. My daughters weren't around. None of my nephews or nieces were around me. The only people that I had around me were people who were smoking crack and selling crack. That's all I had around me. Yeah. Now, I'm trying to mask my pain. And then I got with a woman that she was masking her pain. So both of us ended up codependent. Not even realizing that this is going on. Our relationship was very volatile and very toxic. There was a lot of arguments between us, and it was all drug-fueled arguments. And this went on from like 2018 to 2020. I went on, yeah, and I was just masking it. But in 2019, my mum died, yeah, and I'd watched her deteriorate. I wasn't there every day because I'll be honest, I couldn't face it. I could not face it. I couldn't accept it. But when it started coming up to the end of her life, I was there as much as I could be, and I even slept in the home where she was in the nursing home on Newport Road. I slept there with her, and sit there, hold her hand, watch the telly with her, and just watching her fading away, and just slowly going. And then when she passed away, then in 2019, February 2019. I literally lost the plot completely, and I got so deep into the addiction that I was a mess. Looking back, I can't even recognize the person that I was. I was in such a state that I ended up owing out a lot of money, a hell of a lot of money to people. Losing friends that I don't know if they'd done it purposely, but people that I thought were like brothers to me. One person I thought was like a brother to me. But it feels now that I was preyed on because of my vulnerability. And I'm not gonna play on the fact that I was vulnerable because, I should have known what I was doing. I was just not thinking straight. I should have known what I was doing, and I should never have got into that sort of debt with somebody. But this person was supposed to be like a brother to me, and in the end, I had people hunting me and telling me they're gonna put me in a hole, and when you're on something like crack cocaine, and you hear things like that, it makes you think different. You don't know where your head's at. I panicked, and I left. I left my flat as it was, and I left. I said, that's it, enough's enough. I'm not touching this no more. And I moved out of my flat, cleaned myself up. The woman that I was with, me and her had a bit of an argument, and I was like, I can't deal with this no more. Me and her uncle had a little altercation on the New Year's Eve of 2020, going into 2021. He hit me over the head with a bar. But where I was still in fear because I was being told that I was being hunted by certain people, pretty serious people. I used to carry a knife around with me because the police said to me, if anything happens, just phone us. I'm thinking, well, how am I going to phone you if I've just been snatched off the street and thrown in the back of a van, which is, possibly what would have happened. So I carried this knife around with me, not with intention to go causing any damage to anybody, not to threaten anybody with it or anything like that. It was for my security, and it was from that. That's all it was. I carried it around with me for 10 months. You got to understand, I just come off crack cocaine that I was smoking every day for years. So it took me months and months and months and months to get my mind straight again. I lived in crackland for a few years.
You must have been paranoid as fuck as well.
Oh yeah.
In that period, coming off it as particularly, even when you're on it, but coming off it.
Yeah. You imagine coming off that, being paranoid, but at the same time having a reason to be paranoid because you've got people, serious people, talking about they're going to do damage to you. Do you know what I mean? So, it was a daunting time in my life. I'd lost my mother a year before, and then I mastered with drugs. But it's my own fault. I should never have gone into that situation in the first place. I should have just accepted, the loss of my mum. You don't think like that at the time. You don't think like that at the time. But I moved out. Well, I never moved out. I kept the place there. And then I put in for a transfer, an emergency transfer. And the first place they gave me was literally on the corner from my literally on the corner. And I was like, well, I can't be here. This is where all my problems are. I can't be here. I'm not saying that, that area is like that, but that's how I am in that area. Do you know what I mean? It's like I had a bad experience up there. And I just mixed with the wrong people and got into the wrong shit, basically. So then, I got myself clean. After the altercation with me and my ex's uncle, I'd gone to, it was New Year's Eve, and my daughter, I was in a party with my daughter on New and I'd left there with my mate to go down my mate's, and I lost him somehow, and then me and my ex's uncle are having an altercation in the street. I'm getting hit over the head by a bar. I made my way back to the flat where my daughter was, and I collapsed, and they found me in a pool of blood. Luckily enough, my daughter's friend's brother was a first aider, a trained first aider, and he was taking clots out of my head. My head was open. And I mean, I've seen the photos. I was in a puddle of blood, just unconscious. I wakes up in the morning and I'm in the hospital. I phones my daughter. I said, what happened? She said, Dad, you got attacked last night. I said, where's my bag? I had like a man bag. And I said, where's my bag? She said, my friend got it. I said, okay, where's the knife? She said, the police got it. So I'm thinking, oh no. As I go to walk out the hospital, boom, they jumps on me. They arrested me for knife crime. I wasn't committing any knife crime at all. I never had that knife to hurt anybody. That knife was in my jacket for protection. But, I got caught with it, so it's knife crime, You
also didn't use it when you got attacked?
No. But the thing is,
you had it?
I had it on me. But at the same time, like I said, I was coming off drugs. My head wasn't in the right place. I was constantly being threatened. I was people stopping me in the street and saying, yo, so-and-so's looking for you. They're going to put you in a hole, mate. Yeah? So I was carrying that knife around with me, which I shouldn't have. Yeah? But when I was coming off the drugs, my mind wasn't thinking straight. And of course, with the paranoia as well. So I had a charge on me for knife crime. A few weeks later then, they've offered me that place around the corner from my flat. And I had to say, I can't be here. I need to be closer to my family. You know, I needed to be around my loved ones because, you know, my children would have been like, Dad, I mean, they washed their hands with me because of the state I got myself into.
Yeah.
But then when I got clean, my daughters were there for me and they stood by me. After that incident with me and her uncle, I had bail conditions not to contact her, not to contact her uncle, stay away from his street. And so I was like, that's fine. That was New Year's Eve. Then the end of January, the February, she's contacted me because I'd just been given a brand new flat. And I basically asked her sister to come and collect everything and take it. And she came up to my old flat. We emptied all like my ex's stuff into the car and it went up to her sister's. When we got back to my flat, I found a picture of her and her daughter. And it was sentimental to her. But when she contacted me like after I moved into that building, I said to her, I'm not supposed to be speaking to you. You know, she contacted me. I said, I can't speak to you. I said, but I have got a photo, you know, a sentimental photo of you and your daughter. I'll post it to your nans or, you know, ask somebody to pick it up off me. And that was it. She was screaming, oh, I want to meet you now. Come and give it to me now. I ended up taking it back. I still got on bail. Yeah. She ends up then coming back to my flat. And I could, even though I was cleaning myself up from the drugs, I could feel the toxicity starting again. Yeah. And there was an argument because I asked her to leave. Because I said, look, if you're going to stay, you're going to have to start paying your way towards, you know, the electric, the gas. You know, you have to start paying your way. I can't support you because I'm barely supporting myself. She had an argument. She kicked off. Then she tried to phone the police and say that I'd broken my bail conditions. And when they turned up, basically they said, well, the thing is, it is property. If it was outside, different thing. Yeah. But the cop said to me, if you don't press charges, we're going to do you for breaking your bail. So they took her. I had to protect myself. So they took her. In the evening, another cop phones me and says, would you drop the charges? I said, well, yeah. I didn't want to press charges in the first place. I don't want to make an interview. I said, I just wanted to remove from my property. He said, well, I said, the officer earlier on told me if I don't make a statement, I'm going to prison because of my bail conditions. He said, no, it doesn't work like that. He said, you're not going to get done for your bail conditions anyway. He said, and that officer should not have said that to you. So I was like, okay, well, I'll bring me anything you want, I'll sign it. I don't want to press charges. I don't want to go no further. A couple of weeks later, her little cousin contacts me. She's pregnant. Now, bear in mind, I'm not even supposed to be anywhere near her. Social services phones me then, tells me like, look, we're involved, you know, your ex is pregnant. You know, are you gonna, accept responsibility with, being the father? And I said, yeah. Are you willing to, do drug tests and everything? I said, yeah. But I slipped. I had a little blip. But what you got to understand is, I got drug tested in September, tested positive. Drug tested again in the November, tested positive, but they were dropping. The levels were dropping. Tested in March, and it was showing detected. Yeah, where the other two tests, they were quite high because it was still in my system. And it stays in your system for years. So especially through the hair, they can tell you how long it's in there. By the time it got to the March, it tested detected, but it didn't give you, the amount like that was used against me. All that got used against me. During that time, this is when I said, fuck this. I need to be doing something positive. Rob just got out of prison, 2021, January 2021 this was. Rob just got out of prison. And, was it 21? Yeah, 21. He got out. And we were talking about making music. Yeah. So she'd fallen pregnant, and I started recording again, just keeping my mind occupied, just recording music. Yeah, and then that's when I put out my Indelible album. My first single was Dragons. The second one was 528 Wake Up, because I was going into I was heading towards more positive energies, frequencies. First of all, Rob put out Memories. That was the first ever track, Joe Blow Memories, and I was dedicated to Stagger. I totally missed all that because Veteran Records comes from the original members of the Undecorated Veterans was myself, Joe Blow, and Stagger. Of course, Stagger passed away in 2020, wasn't it? Yeah, 2020, December 2020. And then when Rob got out, we were talking about setting up Veteran Records.
Yeah.
He put Memories out on the label. So then we carried on, I kept on recording. And then in the August then, that's when the social worker phoned me. Then in September, I tested positive. So I put music out, but I was still testing positive for drugs. And then we set the label up. We were still moving forward positively. But like I said, I was clean. I was coming off the drugs. It took about a year to get out of my system altogether. Literally, it took a year to get it all out of my system, because if I'm totally honest, I'd slipped once or twice before I knew that she was pregnant. Then I stayed clean, and then I had a blip in the October, and it was a week or 2 weeks before my daughter was born, 9 weeks premature. Yeah, she was due in December, but she came October 18th. But I'd slipped up all week before, and that's when I tested positive and how it stayed in my system till the March. Yeah. But that was the last time I used anything, was October 2021. It got used against me. Totally got used against me. Things that I'll get onto, all that in a minute, to be honest with you, because what I've been through with the family court system.
Was pregnant, and obviously you were coming off the drugs and that, and you were doing the tests and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the baby was born. Did you say October? Yeah.
Yeah, the baby was born in October.
Super early.
Yeah, she was 9 weeks pregnant. She was taken from the hospital then at 5 weeks. I was there every day. The first 2 days I wasn't allowed over there because of bail conditions. Yeah, every evening, well, I'd go over like 6 o'clock in the evening and I'd stay there till like 3, 4 in the morning. And then I'd go home, sleep, do what I got to do in the day, back over to the hospital. I'd done that for 5 weeks. And basically, 5 weeks I went to court for an interim care order. They'd done the interim care order, and they got granted it. So my daughter was taken straight from the hospital, straight with a foster carer. And may I add as well, the foster carer, I have a very, very good, I think highly of her and her husband, for what they've done with my daughter. There's people out there that don't get a foster carer for their children like I've had, because the person, I haven't got a bad word to say about her. Yeah. To be honest with you, I haven't got a bad word to say about her, because she's been brilliant. The interim care order was made so we could do parenting assessments. Now, the parenting assessment was done. We passed with flying colours. We were going, seeing my daughter, me and her mum would go into the hospital, going to the contact centre together. We were seeing her 3 times a week and twice a week on Zoom. So we were seeing her 5 days a week. We done this parenting assessment. We passed it. The social worker, he was a fair guy, and he said to me, there's one issue. He said, your daughters have made allegations of you, blah, blah, blah. I said, that's a load of nonsense. Here's their phone numbers. He phoned them. He come back, he said, I'm happy. He said, because they've just confirmed everything you've said to me. That was the last I seen of him. The last I seen of that social worker. And they didn't tell us for nearly a month later that he was gone. We found out the week after from the foster carer, because she said he's gone. And we were like, what? They didn't even contact us for a month after that, to tell us that he was gone. They said, we need to do an addendum. We're like, we're there. I've just been told I've passed my parenting assessment. And the person you've got rid of, and now you need to do an addendum. So what they done was they just pushed the goalpost back. So,
did they tell you why or anything like that? Sort of.
Oh, they were saying this because of my background, my criminal record. They've used things against me. They've used things against me that I was found not guilty of. I was found not guilty in a Crown Court of Law, but yet they're still using that crime against me that I was found not guilty of. Madness. You can't make it up.
I don't really understand that.
You can't make it up. All I got to say to people is, family court and the law court, completely different rules. They got complete different rules. Like, if there's an allegation made against you, even if it's false, yeah, they'll use it against you because somebody has said something about you, it's written down on paper. If it's written down on paper, they'll use it against you.
The thing which doesn't make any sense about that is like, when, say relationships, right, just a man and a wife, man and a girlfriend, or whoever, any relationship, when they break down, or when you break up with someone, or people break up, like just anyone, not anyone generally, very rarely do they break down positively, or like, you mutually part ways and everything's fine. There's normally at least a little bit of animosity there.
Well,
I think if you can say something about someone, and even if it's proven then not to be true, but that then causes all sorts of problems. It's a problematic system.
One of their main issues was the fact that when I was in that toxic relationship, I kept taking it back, which, I hold my hand up, I was guilty of that. I even to this day, I'm not going to knock her, I'm not going to curse her out. We just weren't meant to be together. We supported each other afterwards. We did support each other afterwards, but the relationship was too toxic. And I haven't got a bad word to say about her, because at one time there was feelings there. And she's still the mother of my daughter.
So the male social worker.
Yeah, the male social worker disappeared. 3.5 weeks later, they've introduced another 2 social workers, one to do an addendum, and basically she came in within 25 minutes maximum, all in all, on 3, all in all, out of 3 different occasions. I've seen her within 25 minutes of all those times. So, it's only been a matter of a couple of minutes each time. She failed me. I worked with the actual social worker that passed me. I'd done 3.5 months with him, and we built an understanding of it, and he passed me. I met her for 25 minutes, all in all. She failed me.
Do they give you like reasons and stuff?
Oh no, they make up their own reasons. They make up their own reasons. Like since they failed me after that, and I went back to court, there was all sorts of nonsense thrown at me in court. You're not even allowed to question.
I was going to say, in that panorama thing, the thing that I see, like that, you're not allowed to defend yourself.
No.
You're not allowed to question them. You're not allowed to question anything that you said about you.
No.
You're not allowed to. It's not done on a basis of evidence. It's the people who've done the initial assessment also make the decision about it.
It's designed to make any parent fail. And it is literally designed to fail parents. But the thing is, it's not just failing the parents, it's failing the children. It's failing the children. The United Nations have said, in the human, the Children's Act, yeah, every child is entitled to a family life. Yeah. Now I've raised 2 children already. I helped raise my grandchildren. But yet, they're saying that I can't look after my daughter. Now, since the court proceedings, I've done a relapse prevention course. I've done a trauma course because of the trauma that I've been put through by them. I've done so many different courses. I've done a future thinking course. A problem solving course. I've done 2 two child safeguarding courses. I've done an advanced parenting skills course. I've done courses relevant to make the changes. When I went back, I put in to revoke the care order, and I ordered for them to do more drug tests on me.
Yeah.
The judge turned around to me and said, right, I want 3 months worth of hair off you. But like, before he asked for that, I had my hair cut like a month before. So there wasn't 3 months on my head. There was only 7 weeks on my head, 7.5 weeks on my head, or 7 weeks or something like that. So it's under the 3 months. So then the next day they came out and they took the hair from my armpit. When they seen it, it was 7.5 months. Yeah, so I had 7 weeks on my head, 7.5 months on my armpit. My solicitor was asking local authority for over a month, which do you want to go with? 7 weeks or 7.5 months? What do you want to go with? They just kept ignoring us, completely ignoring us. My solicitor then took it back, called a court meeting, and said to the judge, like, this is what's going on here. I've been asking him for over a month. What do you want to go with? You've ordered you ordered 3 months, but we got 7 weeks off his head, 7.5 months from his armpit. What do you want? He said, go with whatever. So we give him the 7.5 months. The test come back stating that I'd been clean for 7 months, 7.5 months. And it was so clean, you had to be clean 6 months before that, at least, yeah? When I went back to court, they said 7.5 months is not long enough for him to have been clean. It's just not long enough. So are they not undermining the judge?
Yeah.
Because the judge ordered 3 months originally.
Yeah.
I give him 7.5 months. They're saying it's not long enough. Yeah?
So you kind of move the goalposts.
Again. I work voluntary online for a group, West. We uplift and support together. Yeah? That's the name of us. And also another group as well called Voices of the Children. The amount of cases that I listen to and the traumatized parents that I speak to on a daily basis is horrendous. It is horrendous. I'm not going to get into statistics because, like I said, I'm not really the type of person that gets into statistics. But from what I've been told, there's a child being taken in the UK every 20 minutes. I've also been told that my story is not unique. It's as if they write a template. It's a template they go off. Yeah? It is. It's really, really scary. Now, bearing in mind, while I'm going through all that and supporting other people, I'm also releasing music, and I'm also focusing, having something to focus on. Yeah. But if I didn't have my music to fall back on, I probably would have crumbled. And there's a woman in Hull. There was a woman in Hull. I think it was 2018. Dropped dead in a family court. Yeah. They tried to say that it was drug influence. She took an overdose. Coroner's report come back. She died of broken heart syndrome.
It's horrific, mate.
There's men, there's women committing suicide over this so often.
There's got to be a way, isn't there, to make the system better? Because, like we were discussing sort of before the thing, we all want kids to be safe.
Yeah.
We all want, like, if there's kids being hurt in homes and whatever, we want that to be sorted, and we want it to be sorted yesterday, not tomorrow when it's too late. But also, where there are mistakes made, or where there's things which have been unfair or whatever, you know, all the different circumstances, cases like yours, like those mistakes have to be put right for the sake of the children. There has to be a better system in place, because I still can't get over the fact that, like, when you go and appeal these decisions, you're appealing to the same people who assessed you for it,
Yeah.
and like, so you're never gonna get a different decision.
Do you know what else is hard as well? Local authority, they'll give you a list and they'll say, you need to get hold of a solicitor. And on that list is a list of solicitors. You should never go with them solicitors because they actually work for local authority. There's only a handful of lawyer firms that I can say that will not work with them. They pride themselves in not working with them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all social workers are bad, yeah? Because there is definitely a need for children in certain situations to be taken. But it seems like there's an alarming rise in children being taken on grounds of, get ready for this one, the potential of future emotional harm. That's what most kids are getting taken for these days. That's the main reason a lot of children are being taken for these days. The possibility of future emotional harm. That's like predicting it. That's like saying, that's like going up to someone outside.
People for crimes before they...
Yeah, it's like going up to somebody standing outside the shop, looking in the shop window and saying, right, I'm going to arrest you now because I believe you're going to steal from there next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? When they take the children from the parents, they're causing that child emotional harm. So it's okay for them to do it. I'm not saying it's all right for us to do it. I'm not saying that in any way whatsoever. But they accuse us of this, but then they go and commit that act by causing the emotional harm to a child. And this has been my fight now for the last 2 years. So yeah, with the hip hop and the music, I'm still there, and you know, it still is a massive part of my life. Running the label with Rob, you know, with Joe Blow, that's a massive part of my life. But at the same time, I've been fighting a losing battle. So that's where I've been for the past 2 years, fighting a losing battle. I could have easily slipped back into the drugs. Bearing in mind, I lost my dad last year as well. Do you know what I mean? So
you got to, the way I look at it is, you've got to look at it from a positive point of view.
Yeah.
It's like, for the last 2 years, you've kept fighting through some of the most horrendous experiences. Well, the most horrendous thing which happened to a parent, and it taken off him unfairly as well. And then obviously your father died. And like you said, that is like 2 trigger points straight away, where in the past you would have slept.
Right.
You did when you were grieving before.
yeah, if I was going to slip in any way, which they thought that I was going to, yeah.
That was probably the 2 times which could have caused you to do it. Huh?
Number 1, take my daughter away from me. That's going to make me do it. Yeah. Number 2, my dad dies. Yeah. And I'm so glad that I've got the people around me that I have right now, because if it wasn't for them people, I could have fallen apart. But I've had to be positive, and I've had to focus on becoming that better person. You know, my daughter's getting adopted, and it's going to be an open adoption. So I'm pretty lucky in that sense, because I get to see her.
Yeah, I was going to say, if like in other cases and with other people, once the child gets adopted,
that's it. You don't see them until they're 18. But yeah, there's
one left to a year.
Yeah, well, some people don't even get that. I know people that have got children that are in foster care, and they're being stopped from seeing their children, and they're in foster care. And there's been no thing made about the children being adopted or anything like that. But the foster carers and social workers are going to shut them down. Like, no, you're not seeing them anymore, and going against judges' orders, The judges have turned. The judges have actually ordered, right, for these parents to be seeing their children like twice a month or like once a week or at least, like, you know. But as soon as they get outside that court, social workers don't care what the judge says. Bam, you're not seeing your kid. Like I said, I'm not saying all social workers are like that, but there's an alarming rise in the corrupt social workers. There's so many of them at it. The good social workers are too scared to speak up because it'll get taken up on them.
Yeah. So they, I don't know the answer to this, is why I'm asking. Do they get financially rewarded for?
So, this is the thing. They say they don't. Yeah. There's social workers now.
Like if they hit so many K, they have so many kids.
Back in 2000 and was it 2000? Tony Blair said that he put this law in that social workers needed to start taking more kids into care. Yeah. Now they say that there's not, but there's obviously some motive for them to take children and lie about the reasons why they're taking children as well. Because you'd be shocked if you ever read a court bundle. You'd be very shocked in the way that these so-called professionals actually act and how they talk about people and how they lie. Yeah, they've lied about a lot of people. It is. They make their own rules up. And no matter, like, say you've got a list of your positives like that and your negatives like that, they'll dismiss the positives and that is what they'll work with, those negatives.
It's really shocking. And like I said, mate, like I said to you, phone you with it, like, I don't know how you've managed to keep going because I can't imagine it. And it's a scary world, mate. But like I can speak to you for another 2 hours, like in football and the rest of them, and everything you've been through. We'll have to kind of close it out there. Maybe we'll get you back on again at another point and catch up with you and see how things are going.
No problem.
But in terms of, I wanted to do a couple of things. First and foremost, where can people find your music and Veteran Records?
No, I don't. Like, if you go onto my Facebook, you can get my link tree. You can contact me at Veteran Records on veteranrecords.co.uk. Veteran Records all in one and .co.uk. Spotify, Mr. 4D. Instagram, Mr. 4D with 3 E's. So it's number 4, D-E-E-E-E. Facebook, Mr. 4D, M-R-4-D-E-E. And TikTok as well. Same, just Mr. 4D, with, like I said, spot number 4-D-E-E. My link tree is, once again, link tree, Mr. 4D. But yeah,
and the other thing I was going to say is if people, or if anyone finds themselves in a similar situation to you from the family side of things, what would your advice be to them? Interestingly, on that TV show, which I watched last night, the MP from London said, leave the country.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's a tricky one because it is the best thing for a mother to do. If the mother's pregnant and she knows that as soon as they got the graps on you, yeah, they're not going to let you go. They're not going to let you go until they got that child. There's a hell of a lot of mothers that have fled the UK now. You know, this is alarming, the fact that we've got refugees leaving our country to seek refuge in other countries because of the way the state is treating them. Yeah, this is hence the reason why I put that track up with Joe Blow and Skinny Man, Broken Britain. Yeah, Now that track now seems to be getting a lot more views again.
Yeah, it's quite a track, man. But it's got a message. Like I said to you, when we were on the thing, cigarette, like so when I was on this, but like I like music which makes me feel and tells me a story. Or
yeah, well, this is what I was on about. This is what I was on about earlier. About like I remember rap being able to educate you, and
yeah,
I learned a lot more through rap than I did through school.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. What would your advice be then? People, if they found themselves in that similar situation.
Right. Number one, they say you're not allowed to, but record every conversation you have with a social worker. And I mean record everything that any interaction you have with a social worker, record it. Even though they say that you're not supposed to, just record it. And then you can use the transcript. You have to transcript it. You can't just, you can't play an audio in the court. Yeah. But you can get the Otter app. You get like an Otter app, and you transcribe it then, and then that'll bring all the transcripts up then, and you can present that to court. That'll stop. Like when I told the social worker I was going to record them, they refused. I asked them. I said, would you be happy to be audio recorded? No. I said, well, why won't you? Because I don't want to be audio recorded. I said, well, I've got nothing to hide. I got nothing to hide whatsoever. So, somebody's hiding something, isn't it? No. That's how they say, no. We're not hiding nothing. But if you're not hiding nothing, get yourself recorded then. That's all I got to say to them. That's it. They record every interaction with a social worker. I'm not going to say flee the country, although I'm not against that. I am not against it, because there's some certain cases, like that Panorama documentary. Yeah, we have seen it. The Panorama documentary that I want my babies back. Oh, my baby back. That is so hard hitting, and it's true what's going on there. Just by watching that documentary and seeing that poor woman that's had to go and live in Spain, and the husband have had to stay in the UK, and
his family,
just to keep the child with the mother. These people, they're sick, they're twisted. They got everything they do is morally wrong. Everything they do is morally wrong. But like I said, I'm not saying all social workers, but there's a very, very high majority of them that are like it. And the good ones, you need to start speaking out against these people. All you good social workers that don't believe in what's going on, but you know it's going on. So you need to start speaking out about it, because being silent also makes you guilty.